Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Millennial Smark, and I'm back at it again with another video. Timestamps are down in the description box below if you want to get directly into the video. Typically, I start these intros off with something pretty negative, right? In one shape or another, it's gonna probably be negative, but that's just pretty much 98% of the catalog, because naturally I consider myself to be a bit of a cynical person, very much of a glass half empty kind of guy. But today we're gonna have something a little bit more positive, and I'm actually kind of I think this is really cool to see, so if you guys didn't know, I want to say maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, Killswitch, Luchasaurus, he had a very, very, very scary situation happen to him where, I can't remember where, but it was on one of the wrestling shows. He ended up collapsing and he had a horrible health scare. Said that his lungs were almost permanently damaged and he almost suffered the same fate as the late Brody Lee, Luke Harper, I would like to refer to him, John Huber. He almost died. He almost passed away. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. And, well, we got some good news. Link is down in the description box below if you'd like to follow along. The professional wrestling world was shaken when it was reported that AEW superstar Killswitch, real name Austin Madison, was hospitalized. According to reports, the wrestler formerly known as Luchasaurus was found collapsed on September 27 by his fiancée. After being rushed to the hospital, Madison was diagnosed with double pneumonia, meaning it was in both of his lungs, and narrowly avoided permanent damage, which obviously would have killed him because if both of your lungs are permanently damaged. They're using euphemisms right here, obviously, but I mean, he would have died. Now, almost 3 months later, there has finally been an update on the fan favorite Dino-themed wrestler. In an update on social media, Brian Alvarez of Wrestling Observer reported that Madison is, and I quote, doing much better, end quote, and is thankful for the help from AEW and Tony Khan. He is doing much better, Alvarez said, per Ethan Renner of Figure 4 Wrestling Online. I am told he is working hard towards a comeback and credits Tony Khan and AEW medical staff for not only being patient with this, but also telling him to stay home the week before he collapsed, which may have saved his life. It was very serious. And then it starts to talk about all his previous injuries, but in reality, when it's all said and done, it talks about his previous injuries and his background when he was with Big Brother, if you guys aren't aware of that. But I'm happy for him, hopefully he gets to do what he loves. It's not going to change anything as far as how I feel about his character. It's not going to change anything in regards to how I feel about AEW as a wrestling company strictly. But there are some things that obviously I'm willing to separate versus the things that I absolutely do not like in regards to said thing that I hate, right? So on one hand, I can shit on AEW all day. I could talk about the bad booking. I could talk about the failed state of the company. And all of that is absolutely true. But that's the professional wrestling business. On the other hand, you can absolutely praise Tony Khan, for an example, from what I can tell and until I see otherwise, being an alright dude, being a humble dude, being a overall good human being, right? This stuff that he does all the time for the wrestlers, the stuff that he did for John Huber, the donations that he sends in, the most recent one that he did for Dutch. Tony Khan, as a human being, from what I can tell, until proven otherwise, seems like a rather stand-up dude. And I will give credit where credit is due when it's all said and done. And, even though it doesn't really affect me, and nor will it affect my narrative in regards to AEW. In the end of the day, I guess you can say that AEW, you know, for some of the boys out there and girls, it exists as an alternative for people who gets fired from WWE. Again, you're not going to get all these wimpy, fucking sentimental, positive bullshits out of me when it comes to anything in regards to professional wrestling nowadays, because that's not my life. What I want to focus on is whether or not the product is good or if the product is bad. That's where my negative and positive whatever stems from. Anything having to do with behind the scenes, don't care, not my problem. But considering we all talking about it right now, it is worth noting that, you know, never confuse your hatred for the product for the people who are putting on the product. You don't have to like AEW to at least notate that the people who you hate their decisions, you don't really hate them as people. But with that being said, like I said, enough of this wimpy bullshit. Let's get directly into the show. Hopefully Luchasaurus makes it back as quick as humanly possible, if for nothing else, to keep living out his life and living out his dream. Okay, so the format for this is going to be very, very weird, but very intriguing at the same time in regards to the recording of the segments in itself, because it's like, it's a TV show, so like I'm going to review it no different than how I will review any other TV show, but the format they're going for is clearly like a PLE. So it's like we're going to be talking about a bunch of matches versus focusing on angles and stories. I mean, we might get some throughout the night, but it legitimately just it's weird. I'm not going to give any star ratings. I think I should. I feel like I should give star ratings. But again, because of the commercial breaks in between and stuff like that, it breaks up the monotony, and I don't really feel like it's fair to give it a star rating because of the commercial breaks. That's why I do it for the pay-per-views, but not for the regular show matches, if you guys were ever concerned as to why I never really do it for the regular TV shows. But I'll tell you how I felt about it. The match in itself with Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre, I thought it was fine. They went out there and they had just a very, you know, paint by numbers, standard, basic match. You know, again, with the commercial breaks, it's going to kind of ruin it a little tiny bit. That's why I'm hoping they kind of have angles attached to this, because, you know, like, I felt like they did this already. Not WWE on the main roster. Like, I think NXT, they did this already on their debut in the CW. It kind of has that similar feel to it. And it's like, that's fine. But because of the commercial breaks, I kind of want some entertainment value attached to that also. And I thought, as far as, before I even talk about the match, the production value for this is fucking out of this world. I love it. I love how intimate it is. The small arena. The arena is very reminiscent, at least to me. I know they were trying to go for the 80s, but it kind of reminds me of Monday Night Raw from like the early to mid 90s before you get the Titantron. That's the kind of vibe I feel like. It like almost like a high budgeted, I don't know, like a high budgeted ECW. That's what it feels like. Or like you know, like ROH, like, you know, if they had some really good production value, say like in the early 2010s, that's the kind of vibe I got from it. And, you know, you see, you know, how they're dressing and they're trying to keep up with the aesthetic of the 80s. You know, Jesse was out there, Ventura. And I think, you know, with the way he's talking, he could probably, you know, go a few rounds on commentary. No, you better not put that old ass man on commentary. And I fuck with Jesse though. Plus, I will say it's kind of weird, you know, when you don't got Gorilla out there or you don't got Vince out there to commentate with Jesse. So it does feel kind of out of place watching him commentate with some of the newer guys. I mean, I don't know, like, it feels kind of weird. I probably, you know, I can't help but think that there are some people out there who are older who probably sees this and they're like, I get nostalgic seeing Jesse, but at the same time, seeing him talk with these random guys and he's not out there with Gorilla or Vince or anything like that, it feels kind of out of place. Or, you know, Lord Alfred Hayes or anything like that. It just feels really out of place. You know what I mean? I'd feel the same way if I seen Jim Ross out there commentating with fucking Excalibur. I don't know. I feel that kind of way sometimes too when I see that shit. But back to what I was saying with the match between Drew and Sami. It was nice watching Sami pull out the Arabian moonsault. I haven't seen him do that in years. You know, like I feel like because only two people I've ever seen do it. I've seen him and Christopher Daniels do it over the years, and I haven't seen him pull it out in years. So I kind of thought to myself they were gonna go out there and have like a crazy ass banger, but it wasn't quite that, in my opinion. Oh look, Tito Santana, he looks good for his age. Tito's got to be pushing towards his mid-60s right about now. He looks very good for his age. He kind of looks like a Latino Meltzer, to be honest with you. Who else is that? Hang on for a second. Who else is that? Sorry, got my thing. Rich Herring. Oh, I'm not familiar with him. You'll never get me saying that, like, typically. Oh, there goes, Jimmy Hart. The Mouth of the South. I just seen him, on Twitter the other day, promoting, like, his 60th anniversary on his #1 hit song back in the days. I seen him on Twitter promoting that the other day. But, yeah, the match with Drew and Sami, it was fine. I liked it, but you know, like when Sami did the Arabian Moonsault, I kind of thought to myself they were gonna go super damn crazy, and it wasn't quite that. You know, Drew did hit like not a fall away slam, but he picked him up in a fall away position and then threw him across the announcement table, and then they got back in the ring, and not much really happened. You know what I mean? It's a TV match essentially. You know what I mean? With the aesthetics of a pay-per-view, or at least it feels that way. But nevertheless, though, the match did end up ending with Sami consistently trying to hit a Blue Thunder Bomb, and then Drew kept blocking it, eventually hit him with the Glasgow Kiss headbutt. He tried to go for the first attempt, at least, of the Claymore, but then Sami blocked it with a standing big boot. They went back and forth for a little bit longer before, like, Drew, because after he hit him with the big boot, he actually nailed the Blue Thunder Bomb before Drew kicked out. He rolled out of the ring. Sami chased him out the ring. Drew got back in the ring. Sami got in the ring, and then he got met with a Claymore kick in order to win the match. And that's what I mean, you know, like, I'll just call it like a standard paint by numbers, Bob's your uncle, get in and get out TV match. But like, if this was a pay-per-view, of course this would be a bad match, but it's hard to call it a bad match because of the commercial breaks in between. It's like, it's hard to judge because I don't know what they did when I wasn't, you know, when I can't see the entire match. But for what it's worth, you know, again, they got in and they did their thing. So hopefully what happens tonight with the 4 other matches, whether right now coming up next being Io and what the hell's homegirl name again? Help me out here. Thea Hell. There you go. Trigger, you fucking losers. Liv Morgan. You know, they go out there, they hopefully kill it. You got the inaugural United States Championship match with Mia and Chelsea Green. I watched SmackDown last night in the background. They're going to be doing their thing. We still got the triple threat match with Gunther, Damien Priest, and Finn Bálor. Hopefully they kill it. And then the main event is going to be Cody and Kevin. So whatever happens, happens. But hopefully we get some angles in between. Because again, having to use matches as your crutch for the entire show when there's going to be commercial breaks in between, it's going to be a very, very difficult thing to do without any angles or any kind of strong presentation. So, damn, Liv looking bad right now. Jesus Christ. Damn, actually, Raquel Gonzalez looking bad too. Snoo. Let's go, snoo. All right, but let's get it going. Liv Morgan, 1-on-1 against Io Sky. Women's World Championship on the line. Okay, so that really is the format that they're going to go with, huh? They're going to go with the format of just match with nothing in between. I still think they might be like I don't know, like an interview or something that's going to happen in between. But hopefully it's not just literally match. Then we go off the air with nothing as far as like a title. Although, excuse me, I did hear there was supposed to be a huge title change tonight, and considering Liv Morgan didn't lose her championship belt, I can't really see the triple threat match as far as Gunther losing it in a triple threat. That's pretty rare. Not to mention, I don't see where they go from there and what Gunther is going to do. There might be a huge possibility that Cody Rhodes might lose the World Championship to Kevin Owens. We'll wait and see when we get there. It feels like that'd probably be the perfect time to do it, though, right? Kevin wins the championship belt, maybe drops it at Elimination Chamber, unless Cody has plans with The Rock or something like that. I don't know. Again, I guess we'll get there when we get there, but this match with Liv Morgan and Io Sky, It was, again, you're going to hear this a lot because it's very hard to judge it when there's commercial breaks. Not even like a sidebar for it, but just commercial breaks in between that breaks up the monotony. So it's very hard to judge these matches. And, you know, like I said, the presentation and all the, you know, the fucking steak and all the sizzle and the zoom zooms and the wham whams, like, it's there, but like, I can't sit here in good faith and tell you that these matches are peak when in reality they're just standard WWE matches with commercial breaks. You know, I can sit back and I can judge these matches based off of their merit when they're on pay-per-views, and it's a lot easier to kind of decipher, you know, your WWE matches versus your AEW matches on pay-per-view. But when it's on television, it's already bad enough that I don't like what I see in AEW because we live in an era when it's just consistent match after match after match after match after match. The problem is, objectively speaking, at least within those confines, at least with AEW, it's high pace, and because of the commercial breaks and them focusing more on that than angles in itself, they're more willing to get over the match in itself versus what WWE is going to do, because they typically focus more on story-driven stuff and angles. But if that's not what you're going to go to, and all we have is the match, but the commercial breaks are hurting the matches. You get where I'm coming from when I say this? Like, it's not that it was a bad match necessarily. It's just that, like, you're only going to get so much out of it. That's where I'm coming from. You're only going to get so much out of it, and it does harm it. It really does. But for what it's worth, you know, they did their thing. Io got a suicide dive in. I thought that was nice. It was, you know, right there. You know, you got a nice little backstabber from Liv Morgan on Io, followed right into a code breaker or a recoil, however you like to refer to it. You did get a bit of a miscommunication with Liv Morgan and Io, more so Io. I don't know, maybe they were preparing for a springboard into a code breaker spot is what I presume was going to happen, because Io kind of hesitated when she was going to go for a springboard, and like she didn't like fall on her face, but she did sort of kind of trip herself up. But Liv followed up like with a code breaker right into it. You can clearly tell they botched something there, or more so Io botched, or maybe there was a miscommunication from Liv and she didn't perfectly time it, because she seemed rather close to the ropes for me to think that she was gonna, you know, nail something out of nowhere like that. Eventually, though, they went back and forth for a little bit longer before Io went directly into her spot. That's something else too. They did the same thing with Sami and Drew. It was just like, boom, there's your uncle, no false finishes, no nothing, which I'm okay with. You know, you want to save the finishers, but, you know, you can do a little bit more of the match before you actually end it with the finisher. You know what I mean? Don't kick out of the finisher, but you can do more before going to the spot where you're going to do your finisher. And they just keep going directly into finishes like this, so far at least. You know, you had Io go for the, you know, the over the moonsault, and then she got caught in the face by Liv with some boots. And I think also, like, because there was a spot where Io, she kind of hit, like, I wouldn't know the formal name for it, but I guess like a one person, I don't know, like a what would you call it? Maybe the BTE trigger or something. Yeah, I guess like the BTE trigger, but by herself. She did it to Liv Morgan. She caught her fucking right in the fucking face. Like, not sure she broke her nose. She was bleeding from her nose a little tiny bit, but like Io caught her ass flesh in the face. But nevertheless, though, Liv did put her feet up in the air when she went for the over the moonsault, caught her directly into the face, and then when she leaned on the ropes, caught her with this is probably the best Oblivion I ever seen. She caught her with the Oblivion and just spiked her right into the fucking mat. Io sold that shit like Raw Van Dam selling a damn DDT. Or Val Venus, pick which one. They both kind of sell the DDT with that headstand and shit, which I thought was I used to think that was really cool back in the day. It's like, damn, they just broke their fucking necks. Same thing happened with Io here. She stole the fuck out of that Oblivion, and she lost. It looked really devastating, and she lost to it. I know, right? Fucking concept. She left the ring while celebrating, and she was followed up with Rhea Ripley. Nothing happened though. They just kind of stared each other down while Liv had her goons in the background, Raquel Gonzalez and Dominic, and she held the championship belt in Rhea Ripley's face. So I'm assuming they're going to do a match at the January 6th show for Netflix, which I'm very concerned about because that's my truck day, and that's the day where I can't really structure my schedule. Like any other day I can move around. Mondays and Tuesdays I can't move around like that. I can't swap. That's my truck day. I gotta count inventory. So I'm praying. I am praying my truck comes early in the morning time and I get to go home early, because otherwise I think I might miss the Netflix show. So I'm praying the truck comes like around 8, 9, 10 in the morning or something like that, so I can leave at 6 or 7. But we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, that was Liv and Io. Not necessarily a bad match, but it's hard to say it's a good match also, but that's more so because of all the commercial breaks and all the bullshit that was in between it. But with that being said, coming up next, we got Finn Bálor, Gunther, and Damien Priest in a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Let's see if they can, spark some flames inside this show, because so far it's not that it's necessarily bad because of all the aesthetics around it, but at the same time, I'm not a move guy, I'm not a match guy nowadays, but you do have to have, it's like the opposite of AEW, where it's like AEW, they have great matches for the most part, depending how you feel about it, like it depends, but they have all the 4-star matches in the world, but literally no reason for the 4-star matches to happen. No story, no characters, no nothing like that. Whereas with this show, they have all the fucking glitz and glamour. They have all the story. They have all the characters, all the over people, all the fucking glitz and glamour. But like the matches aren't really hitting all too well. Again, I am, presentation over matches, but you still have to have good quality matches. You know what I mean? And so far, not terrible, but also nowhere near good. Hopefully this kind of changes it up a little tiny bit. Man, another match that felt like it was, again, obviously, I'm probably gonna keep saying this throughout the night. I mean, I get it. Like, I'm pretty sure they're working with a 2-hour format and it's 5 matches. But man, I don't know, maybe cut down on some of the more least important matches, so like the ones that really matter can get more time to get more of their stuff in. You know what I mean? I guess you can argue that the problem with this show, outside of Drew and Sami, and even then, outside of the main event, that probably has the most story attached to it, like as far as a backstory is considered, outside of the main event. So it's kind of hard to do these matches, obviously, with, so many matches needing the time. I guess I can see the argument with that. But man, these matches, they're lacking. They're lacking, but it's only lacking because they don't have enough time to get their shit in, man. This triple threat match felt like it could have went on for another 10 more minutes. I would have appreciated it if it would have went on for another 10 minutes. If I felt like they were just hitting that second gear and it just ended. You know what I mean? Nothing really noteworthy as far as spots is considered besides the powerbomb on the steps from Gunther on Damien Priest that led directly into the finish. But like, there was nothing as far as chaos ensuing. There was no craziness that was going on. It was just, go out there, triple threat match, get your shit in, get as much as you can get in this time frame, and that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? And it doesn't help that these commercial breaks are really fucking with these matches a little tiny bit. That's why I say I can't grade them fairly, because I don't know what they're doing on the commercial. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe because I wasn't paying attention. I'm not sure. I don't know. But when they came back from break, I didn't even notice that they did something with the stairs initially. You know what I mean? Like the stairs, they're taken apart outside the ring next to the barricade. I'm like, when did they take the stair? I'm paying attention to the match. I'm wide awake. I'm not tired. I'm looking at the match. I'm like, when did that happen? But maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. I'm not sure. But again, nothing really special happened in the match. After you got that powerbomb spot, I'm telling you, nothing happened before all this. A bunch of chops. You got a couple of sling blades from Finn Bálor. You had Damien Priest take, I think, Gunther off the turnbuckle when he was attempting the superplex on Finn Bálor onto Damien Priest. It was directly underneath him. Damien Priest got up and hit, Gunther with the razor's edge. They fought for a little bit, and, Gunther blocked the first South of Heaven chokeslam with a chop before Priest turned around and still hit him with the South of Heaven. I mean, it's not as if they didn't do anything. It was just stuff that, wasn't, crazy. You know what I mean? Eventually, you did get the spot. Like I said earlier, Gunther hit a powerbomb on Damien Priest on some stairs that I didn't even know were taken apart. He gets in the ring, hits a shotgun drop kick on Finn Bálor into the corner, and immediately followed that up with a powerbomb, and boom, he got the win. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not the kind of guy that sits back and I say to myself, I need false finishes. I don't. In fact, I'm wholeheartedly against false finishes right now. But if there were ever a time to do it, you would think it would be for a world championship match, right? And again, I think it has more to do with the time restraints on most of these matches because of how the show is formatted. And my thing is, that's excusable, but you gotta have some angles, like either attached to the match in itself, or you're gonna have to have something coming out of these things, you know what I mean? But here, really quick, Jesse Ventura is talking. Let me see what he's saying. All right, they were just pretty much going over the events that have happened so far throughout the night. But yeah, like I said, nothing really noteworthy happened in the triple threat match. I'm only assuming they didn't want to go balls to the wall because you still got the January 6th show coming up. I think it's January 6th, right? I said it earlier, but I think I said January 6th, if that's the correct date. You have that coming up in a couple of weeks, and I think they want to make sure everybody's straight for the Netflix show because that's more important than this show. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like, you know, they're building it up right now because WWE is so expertly, like, they're so fucking good at promoting. But it feels like Saturday night's main event, you know, it kind of feels like the Battle of the Belts shows from AEW. Again, it's just that Battle of the Belts don't mean jack shit because AEW absolutely sucks at promoting. Whereas WWE, they're the kings of promoting, and this is the first time they've done a Saturday night's main event in like, what, 16, 17 years? So it feels a lot special. And again, the aesthetic behind it and everything and all the matches that are taking place. But I feel like going forward, this is what's going to be the presentation, very similar to the Battle of the Belts show from AEW. Maybe not on the second show, maybe not even on the third show. But by the fourth show, I think people aren't going to care too much for it. I might be wrong. But we'll see as time goes on, though, right? But coming up next, we got the inaugural United States Championship. We got Michin taking on Chelsea Green. And if for nothing else, history is going to be made tonight. So let's get to that. Hopefully the girls, they go out there and they hopefully they kill it, especially for the first ever match that's going to crown this championship. So if there was any match, again, you never hear me, you know, talk about matches in this manner, but if there was any match that could, you know, do the AEW stuff, it quite frankly could be this match right here, or I would want it to be this match. But we'll see. We'll see. Well, at the very least, I'll say that the match in itself was secondary compared to the conclusion that, and here's my thing, I guess it could have went either way as far as the conclusion, whether it would have been Mia or whether it would have been Chelsea. I would have been okay with either one because I think both girls have been really busting their ass, especially this past year, you know, with, you know, Mia going down to NXT and trying to help out the talent over there, you know, the taking the what would you say, the not even just the background, but like catering duties when AJ Styles is right there with the entire OC and nothing really coming out of that. More so because AJ kept getting hurt. He's hurt now. And unfortunately, because, well, AJ being the leader of a stable means that if you are a part of that stable, typically you could do something, but it's not really going to mean anything without the leader, right? And then you have Chelsea Green, who, in my opinion, is one of the most consistent workers out there, period. I mean, she takes trash and turns it into fucking treasure. Literally, fuck. She was just in a dumpster match like a month ago, right? Literally, she'll take trash and turn it into treasure, right? So either way, for me, it didn't really matter who won the match. I would have been okay with either girl winning the match. And it ended up being Chelsea Green to win the match. Now, you did have Piper Niven. She kept getting involved in the match, you know, got a nice little black hole slam on Mia. But, you know, Mia fought back as much as she can. You know, she ended up hitting a eat defeat on Piper Niven after a miscue from Chelsea Green when she had a suicide dive on Piper. Eventually, you had Piper Niven on the turnbuckle because Mia, she unfortunately botched eat defeat. I watched SmackDown last night, too, again. She botched the eat defeat also, if I'm not mistaken, with... not Bailey. I don't think it was Bayley. Chelsea Green beat Bayley. I forgot who she went up against last. Oh, you know, I think it was Tiffany Stratton. She botched the Eat Defeat with Tiffany Stratton, and she kind of did the same thing here. Not as bad as it was last night, but she didn't get enough extension on her legs, so it looked kind of sloppy. But you had Chelsea on the turnbuckle, and I like this. This is a great finish. I like this finish. And Mia was going to go for something, but Piper got involved again before Mia took her out. And you had Chelsea slap her in the face or punch her or whatever, and she turns around, and like from the turnbuckle, she grabs her arms and she floats over with her arms hooked right into the Unprettier, and then she got the win. And that was a nice finish. I liked it a lot. And Chelsea, you know, like I said, she won the match. She's celebrating. You can kind of see Piper Niven as she's holding her up on her shoulders. It looks like she's got tears in her eyes a little tiny bit, you know, because again, Chelsea Green, she's been busting her ass for the longest. You know, we're talking about a person, you know, when she first came up to the main roster, I can't remember if she got injured or something happened. Like either she got fired or she got injured or something along the lines of that when she first came up to the main roster, something along the lines of that. Just to be a comedy character and, you know, just complete. And she's good. She's really good. Not just from a character perspective, not just from her mic skills, but like, again, she's just one of those people who she can work, but she knows that's not her position, and she'll do good with whatever you give her. And again, it could have been Mia Yim, it could have been Chelsea, but Chelsea winning the match was awesome. Honestly, if you ask me, I kind of would have preferred Chelsea, because again, nothing against Mia Yim, but I feel that Chelsea, she'll do wonders, or she'll do more with the belt from an inaugural standpoint compared to, you know, Mia when she inevitably drops the belt. And who knows, you might even end up getting a Piper Niven and Chelsea Green match out of all this, right? I mean, in the end of the day, it's not as if Piper Niven can't do like the whole jealousy arc of Chelsea. Like, I had you on my shoulders, and, you know, it'd be a nice way to turn Chelsea Green, you know, babyface also. But we'll see how that goes as time goes on. Again, I'm proud of Chelsea, you know, all the shit that she puts up with. And on top of that, you know, pretty much being grounded, never getting herself into trouble. You don't know her politics. You don't know her stances on certain things. The first time you ever heard her pretty much say anything outside of professional wrestling was, you know, the Tessa Blanchard stuff. So keeping her nose clean, good wrestler, solid wrestler, entertaining, and couldn't happen to a better person. You know, hopefully she has a great reign. Hopefully we get some stories out of this. Still pulling for the Piper Niven match with her and Chelsea, and maybe even Piper could win the United States Championship, because she's another person who I think deserves a little bit more of a push considering the shit she has to put up with and how good she is. So we'll see as time goes on. You know, they're going to be on SmackDown. Hopefully they get some killer matches, and congratulations, Chelsea Green. You absolutely deserve it. But with that being said, Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens is coming up next. Is Kevin Owens going to be the new champion, as said on social media and some of the dirt sheet writers? Let's see how right they are. They said it's supposed to be a big title change tonight. We'll see. And hopefully we get some angles out of this. But if, you know, Kevin wins the world championship, that's an angle in itself. But we'll see. Coming up next, Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, Undisputed Championship. All right, so that does it for Cody and Kevin Owens. And I mean, damn, bro. I'll say this. First and foremost, I did get a little bit more excited because, I mean, you have all the things that made me super nostalgic. You know, you got the winged eagle belt that Cody's carrying out to the ring. And you got little Nate there holding the winged eagle belt after the introduction from Lillian Garcia. And then you have Michael Cole on the card. So, you know, I said card, I meant Cole. Fuck, you get what I'm trying to say. Damn it. I felt super nostalgic. Then the atmosphere with the dim lights and seeing the audience. The presentation was there for me. That's going to be the story of the night for me, at least for me, is that I felt that the presentation knocked it out of the fucking park. This was more of those old school Raw episodes that they tend to do from time to time, and they didn't even try. Like, there was really no attempt of making this an old school Raw or anything along the lines of that, and that felt more like an old school Raw unintentionally compared to the actual old school Raws. And then you get the match with Cody and Kevin, and like the rest of the matches tonight, nothing really spectacular happened. You know what I mean? Like, the majority of the match was them kind of just taunting each other based off of Cody Rhodes' past or things that were affiliated with Cody, and most of that happened during the commercial break. You know what I mean? Like, you had Cody, he was mocking Goldust at one point. You had Cody Rhodes, he was doing a throwback to his Stardust gimmick with the cartwheel shit. And then you had both of them, and they were kind of, well, Kevin was mocking Dusty, but Cody was paying homage to Dusty, as always, right? Always got to call back to Dusty when dealing with a Cody Rhodes match. But really, outside of that, I mean, you got an RKO on the top of the announcement table. You know what I mean? I guess that's probably the high spot of the match, because I was thinking, like, okay, well, we're about to make it to another level, right? Because we got a ref bump, right? You know, Charles Robinson got knocked out the ring by Kevin Owens by accident or on purpose. So, like, he purposely shoved Cody into, you know, Charles Robinson, leave it up to Jesse the Body Ventura, who, by the way, don't let his name fool you. His name should be Nostradamus, for how he somehow came out with that nickname, because my God, Buddy bodied that fucking commentary. Holy shit, showing these kids how it's goddamn done. Man, Jim Ross, what is your excuse? Jesse the Body Ventura absolutely fucking annihilated on commentary. He sounded no different than how he sounded back in the 1980s. Voice and all, characteristics and all. Asking the important questions that these marks don't fucking try to understand or connect with. Hey, guys, you have these people, oh, look at Cody feeding off the crowd. Shut the fuck up. Win the damn match. Good job, Jesse. But after that ref bump from Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, a new referee came into the ring, and Eddie Oringa. And it looked like they were going to, you know, go directly into another finish. Unfortunately, Kevin, or I guess Cody, tried to go for a Cody cutter on Kevin Owens, or maybe a springboard crossbody. I'm not even fucking sure. He ended up taking out Eddie. And now I'm thinking to myself, okay, so this is where we're going to get the spot that's going to cause all this confusion. That's going to, you know, lead Cody to have to chase for the belt again, right? Because again, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, maybe the Dirt Sheet writers, they're right. They're right. It's going to be a title change tonight. Kevin grabs the chair. He gets in the ring, and it looks like he's going to try to use it on Cody, but Cody knocks it out of his hand. Eventually, he gets him into the crossroads position, and he looks at the chair that's on the floor that fell out of Kevin's Owens hand, and he hits the crossroads on Kevin onto the steel chair, and then got rid of the evidence. And Charles Robinson got back up, and he counted the 3 on the outside of the ring, which I guess maybe they can kind of play it up, because that's weird. Why would the referee, like, I gotta think that Kevin's gonna try to, you know, pull some shenanigans and say, like, oh, Cody had to use the chair on me. Why did the referee make a pinfall count on the outside of the ring? You know, some shit in order to get another rematch. Maybe it'll be a stipulation tied to it going into the January 6th show. I'm not sure. Maybe it might not even be the January 6th show. Maybe they might just save this for the Rumble coming up on February 1st in 2025, obviously. You never know, but Kevin did lose the match. He ended up eating the pinfall from Cody after the crossroads on the chair. And, you know, the theme of the night is nothing was great. It felt like a house show match. All these matches felt like house show matches, right? House show matches. And it didn't help matters that they had commercial breaks. Although with the Kevin and Cody match, they did at least put the box on the side of the screen when the commercial breaks were on, because I guess they probably figured how important this match was. You just can't take away from it. But even then, the match felt really short. Like, if I had to time this match, I'm going to say it went every bit of 15 minutes or a little bit above 15 minutes, which is really short for a title match, especially a title match with a grudge attached to it, right? And again, nothing spectacular really happened in the match. And unfortunately, you went with the safe finish. You know, I would have really appreciated if maybe they could have given the belt to Kevin Owens, only to see how the path is going to be going into the Royal Rumble, and more importantly, how the road to WrestleMania is going to lead going into WrestleMania. Instead, they went with the safe option. They went with the, you know, you could say predictable if you didn't follow the dirt sheets, but there was a certain kind of unpredictability behind it because of the dirt sheets, which I'm starting to think now is Triple H sending out false flags on purpose just to throw you off the scent. I don't know. But no, there was no title changes tonight. I mean, you got the inaugural United States champion with Chelsea Green, but traditional title changes, nah, we didn't get any of that tonight. And I'm not going to lie to you, with no angles that came out of any of these things tonight, with no storyline approachment or anything like that, it did kind of feel like a waste of time. I know some people may disagree with that. Some people may look at it a different way. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not as if I didn't necessarily enjoy the show. You know what I mean? Like, it was a different atmosphere that I very much appreciated. I liked the aesthetic. I liked all the stuff that circulated around the show. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of made me feel like a kid again watching the show. The same manner of how Saturday night's main event used to get me going back in, say, 2006, there was a certain kind of energy that lingered in me when I watched the show. So I'm not going to say it was necessarily a bad show. It's kind of like Survivor Series a little bit to a certain degree in regards to it being like not a bad show, but also it's a show that's going to be completely forgettable because nothing really came out of it that was really substantial. You know what I mean? Like, going into Raw on Monday, I don't know what will be the fallout from any of this outside of just the matches in themselves, but even the matches in themselves all just felt like random pairings. So all these guys, for the most part, can just go forward and start new rivalries or start new feuds. You know what I mean? As far as the champions are considered, same thing can be said for SmackDown. As far as the champions are considered, I mean, nothing happened. Not to mention, it was pretty weird to not have any tag team matches on tonight also. That was also kind of weird, but it is what it is. But overall, the show tonight, if I had to give it a grade, man, I give it a very, 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 very low C. Maybe even a high D. If I had to give it like on a rating scale, say this was a pay-per-view that I was reviewing. If I had to give it a scale show rating, a 6. A solid 6. Like, this wasn't like horrendously bad. It just felt like something that was super pointless, something that we could have lived without and we would have been perfectly fine without. No angles, no stories. It felt like an AEW show, but without the as far as the matches are considered, it felt like an AEW show, but without the good matches. You know what I mean? Because AEW, they have good matches. It's just that you can distinguish the good match from the next good match from the next good match, and it gets boring over time. These matches tonight, they were like boring without the typical aesthetic that makes WWE who they are in comparison to AEW, which is the stories and the characters. So, you know, hopefully going forward with these shows, they kind of give you a reason to want to watch Saturday night's main event, because with this, unless something spectacular is booked on the next Saturday night's main event, I don't see a reason as to why anyone will want to watch it. You know what I mean? Like I said, it kind of has like a battle of the belts kind of feel to it now. And I don't think that's the right way to kick off, or, you know, the return of, you know, your more popular show back in the days. But, you know, nevertheless, though, like I said, I'm judging it based off just the objectivity. You know, it was a pretty low bar show. It wasn't that good. But, you know, it's a wrestling show on Saturday, so that's always going to be somewhat of a good thing. I was hyped for it nonetheless. But let me hear your thoughts down in the comment section below as to how you felt about the show. Did you think tonight was a good show? Did you think, you know, there were things that could have been a little bit more, you know, advantageous? They could have took a little bit more of some chances. Or did you just flat out have fun with the show and you didn't see any problem with it, which is your prerogative. I'm not going to say you're wrong or right. I just feel like, for me, it just felt kind of like a pointless show. But it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, my name is Devontae, aka Millennial Smark, and I'll be catching you guys later. A deuces and a P-eyes.